Our community projects are really important and really respond to our why for social infrastructure and being able to provide back to the community. At the end of projects, we're part of that community that use these projects as well. Being able to provide those spaces and be able to see the community using those spaces gives us our sense of fulfillment and joy.
For me, community projects are really enjoyable, primarily because they relate to people, and in that way, for architects, I think it's the pinnacle. To be able to work directly with the users, with people that, for lots of different reasons, actually value the importance of design, and you can actually see a tangible benefit from the work that you're doing, which isn't always the case with architecture when it's viewed more as a commodity.
We're currently working on a large community recreation centre for the city of Mount Gambier, we known as the Wallanda Recreation and Convention Centre. And we've been through quite an extensive consultation process with both the council and the community in the design phase of the project, involving multiple workshops with both the elected members, the council staff, as well as the community reference group, which represented probably 50 to 60 different diverse community groups within the region, and really were able to have them contribute to what the building and the space needed to be.
When we begin projects with the users, it's really important to start with strategies and not solutions for them. So by sharing the strategies, bringing them along on the journey, you can then bring and build combined solutions for working with clients, which gives them ownership of the outcomes, buy-in, and it creates much richer projects.
There are quite a few challenges when it comes to designing for civic and community projects, particularly around the number of consultations and the number of people that you're at any one time needing to deal with. And that can be challenging. It can really compress the time.
An important aspect of designing community facilities is design for all. And designing for everybody, that multi-user outcome isn't just about universal design for, say, people with a disability or wheelchair access, but it's also addressing different cultural groups, different sensitivities to sensory requirements, and we capture that in all of our different buildings. Being able to provide spaces for respite, being able to over-accommodate above a minimum standard for what you would need to accommodate for a code compliance point of view, and really interrogate who's going to be using these spaces and what is the best ways to address everybody's needs.
From the outset of projects, it's really important to consider the context within which the project exists. That can be the current existing nature, some of those stories, or the historical aspects of it, whether that be cultural history, geological, geographic. To fully understand all of those things is really important to bring a real depth of understanding and richness to our projects.
Shell Harbour Civic Hub, which is one of my current favorites. We won an AIA award for it 2 years ago, which was fantastic. It's all about the Illawarra. The Illawarra is where the escarpment meets the sea and the sky. And so the building is designed around that idea. The building sits on a bluestone gabion cage plinth, which represents the escarpment. We have the wavy roof of the library, which represents both sea and sky. And then parts of the building that pop out above that take shapes with rounded edges, just like clouds sort of floating above the sea.
The sustainability of the centres are also really important, given that they're local government spends and local government managed projects. The whole of life, including their operating costs throughout 40 or 50 years, is really important that we capture that in the design phase, and that's part of the decision making of what technologies and what systems we put in.
At the Glenroy Community Hub specifically, we've achieved Passive House certification. We're aiming to achieve Zero Energy certification, as well as Living Building Challenge Pedal certification.
So I think if we look to the future, civic and community design really needs to respond to what the general trend is in culture and society. So that's flexible and open spaces and environments that are really welcoming and break down some of those barriers that we're seeing in society to do with diversity and inclusion. Gone are the days of just providing a special focused building just for one use. The trend really needs to continue that we're providing these really flexible, resilient spaces that one day could be used for a certain group or an organisation, and the other day could be opened up for something completely different. And I think hand in hand in that is the concept of removing the front door, the barrier between how people interface with buildings, and that's certainly our passion, is whether that's in the way that landscape might create a buffer or an interpretation, or whether it's the use of certain materials that are really familiar with the community. It's how can we create the most resilient, flexible spaces for everyone.